Hi, friend. Welcome to my channel, podcast, however you're listening to this. I'm Katrina Jasmine, storyteller, UX researcher, designer, and your spiritual hype woman. And today we're diving into the juicy, messy, and liberating world of detachment. Now, before you panic, this is not about ghosting your life and moving to Bali, although I have done that. So no judgment. Maybe not Bali, but we'll get into where I moved in a bit. But I'm talking about the 5-step process that helped me stop overthinking, overgiving, and overstaying in places and with people that were not valuing me. And I'll give you some actual items to complete to help you with each step along the way. So, are you ready? What I'm talking about is the 5-step process to detachment. So now I know a lot of people have been talking about this topic, and I've been really getting trying to understand it more too, which is why I created a 5-step guide to detachment. But I'll tell you about that in a little bit. So first of all, I want to get into the 5 steps. So the first step is awareness. So awareness is like a friend who tells you that you've got spinach in your teeth, brutal, but necessary. I mean, when I moved to London, I thought I was going to live my best rom-com life, new job, new flat, new everything. But boom, COVID happened. And I was okay with it for the first few months, spending some time in solitude. And as it dragged on, it was tough. I was in a new city. I had certain goals I wanted to achieve when I got there. I wanted to experience things. And things that I couldn't do Spain or the US or other places I've lived. And then after a while, I just realized I was miserable. I was chasing a lifestyle that looked good on social media, but I just felt empty inside. And I stayed there trying to fit in, trying to make it work, but I realized it wasn't right for me. And then I accepted it. I am a child of the sun. I am a sun worshiper, and that's okay. And awareness is recognizing when something doesn't feel aligned, even if it looks successful from the outside or a certain way, if you want to be perceived. I mean, awareness is about understanding how you're feeling and aligning with that feeling and recognizing it. So, an actionable tip I would give to help you create more awareness in your life is a 5-minute brain dump. So, write down what's draining you, exciting you, confusing you, and no editing. Just dump it all out there. Then circle one of the things that you want to understand a little bit more deeply. And the way I got into this kind of activity was I read a book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. This is a great way to find awareness in yourself, your desires, things going on around you, and I highly recommend it. It's a 3-month journey, but it's worth every step. So the second thing in the 5 steps to detachment is acceptance. So, and this helped me become the person I actually am today and will grow to be in the coming years or whatever. So let's rewind to when I first moved to Spain. So I didn't speak fluent Spanish. I didn't speak any Spanish at all, actually, when I moved. I was broke. Well, I saved a little bit of money. It wasn't much, but it was enough to live in Spain. And I definitely didn't have my life together. But for the first time in a long time, I felt like me. I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I wasn't trying to pretend to be more confident, more polished, more successful than I was. I just showed up as myself. And I had the time of my life. I felt like the people around me were also very present and fully accepting of me, and I was fully accepting of them in the moments. And also, it was a time when people didn't really have smartphones like they did now, so everyone was on their like Nokias, and when you would meet up with people, you were just present, you were there. And I am still close with some of those people. Some friends that I met then, like we're all I'm best friends with some of them. We speak all the time. And honestly, doing all of this, it was the most freeing thing I've ever done. I just came to the realization that before I left, when like I could stay in California doing the same things I was doing, or I could spend a summer in Spain and see where that would take me. And I ended up staying there for more than a year and I loved it. No regrets. So acceptance isn't about settling. It's just about dropping the exhausting performance of who you think you are and who you think you should be, and being okay with who you are today. All the flaws, all the fears, all the quirks, and everything. Acceptance doesn't mean you stop growing. It just means you stop fighting the truth of where you are, and like it means you stop fighting the truth of where you are right now and give yourself the space to breathe and just be yourself. So, so my actionable tip here would be, try this. Write three parts of yourself you've been judging lately. Then ask yourself, and this could be like, if I lost 10 pounds, I'd feel better about myself. Or, everyone is hustling. Like, why can't I keep up? Or I cry too much. I need to be stronger. And well, even for crying, like crying is so therapeutic. I don't cry that much, but when I do, it's a huge release. So, why are you making yourself feel bad about these thoughts? And ask yourself, can I allow it to exist without needing to fix this today? And just really like look at yourself in the mirror and just think, okay, I can accept this about myself. Do I want to change it? And how can I do that? So the third step is detachment. So letting go. A few years ago, I landed a job that checked all the boxes. Great title, great pay, impressive company. On paper, it looked like the kind of role you'd want to post about on LinkedIn and brag to all your friends, put a bunch of emojis on it. But something felt off, and I was in a really bad headspace. Every Sunday night, I'd get this creeping anxiety, like, the Sunday scaries. I didn't feel seen. And I would even say this feeling lasted more than just Sundays. It was like a few days a week. I was just so anxious. I couldn't sleep. I wasn't excited. I was exhausted from pretending I loved it. And yet I clung to it why? Because I was attached to the idea that the job meant that I was successful, that I was doing what I was supposed to be at that stage in my career. And that's what attachment does. It tricks you into staying somewhere too long, not because it's not right for you, but because you don't want to deal with what it means to leave. Detachment, on the other hand, doesn't mean you stop caring. It just means you stop trying to identify outcomes, titles, relationships. It means you trust yourself enough to let go when something no longer fits you, even if it did at one point in time. Detachment is not about pretending you don't care. It's like caring without clinging on to the outcome or expectation, and there's nothing wrong. You can still want something and still be okay if it doesn't work out. I see it as a sign from the universe. If something doesn't work out, it's because something better is coming. But you have to let it go first, these outcomes, these expectations, and just keep working at it. If it doesn't work out the first time, keep trying if that's what you really want. But detach yourself from expecting that this specific outcome will work out. Maybe something will work out better even later down the line. So another thing you can do, or an actual tip, would be think about one area in your life, work, dating, friendships, where you have been trying to make it work, even though your gut says otherwise. And we don't listen to our guts enough, and they have a whole second brain, pretty much. That's where intuition comes, and why they say it's your gut feeling. So consider and ask yourself this: if I wasn't afraid of what this means about me, would I still choose it? What am I trying to control right now? Ask yourself this. And once you, then take a step, take a breath, and let one small thing go today. An expectation, a plan, or that conversation you keep replaying in your head that's doing nothing for you except torturing you. Let it go. So number 4 is action. So, a few years ago, I was going through a bad breakup where I really felt taken advantage of, disrespected, walked all over. And I was so done. I was so over it. We broke up. I was furious. And I went through a rigorous transformation where I really looked at myself and thought, is this the person I really want to be? How can I change this behavior, this person that I am right now? And that's when I started expanding my friend circle, meeting new people outside of my current circle. And they put me on to more self-reflective exercises like journaling. And someone lent me the book, You Are a Badass. And it totally flipped the script of my self narrative. And it was so powerful. And then all of a sudden, it led to this incident where I was at a party in LA, and a close friend really disrespected me loudly, like in front of like 30 people. And for the first time, I didn't shrink. I was so shocked. I'm not surprised that this occurred, but from that person, but I didn't play it off. I just looked them in the eye and I was like, that is not okay. I'm leaving. How dare you talk to me like that? I walked out. I was shaking, not visibly, but I cried. I was very upset, but I was empowered and I stuck to my guns. Like, I was not going to back down from this. And I felt great. It was a very important point in my life, and action is about doing the thing that your future self will thank you for. Even if your current self is sweating through your cute top and you have like the pit stains and all that, like, action is about doing something that you want to see the change in. You want to change, you have to take action. That's the best way. Speak it to the universe and then take some action about it. So why don't you, as an action, set a mini boundary this week, or a big boundary? Say no to something that you don't want to do. I've been guilty of that, doing things because I feel like I needed to be there. Someone wanted me to be there. Like, let that practice in choosing, let that be your practice in choosing yourself. Saying no to others is a form of saying yes to yourself. So just remember that when you're not in the mood to do something, or if you're not feeling well, just say no. Then the last is number five, gratitude. So the second time I moved to Barcelona, I moved back again in 2016, and I ended up living in this warehouse with one of my best friends. It was on the ground floor, and it had no heating or no aircon. And it was unbearably hot in the summer and freezing cold in the winter. Plus, there was like a skylight in the roof, and it brought in all the light, but it was also someone's terrace above us. So anytime they would rinse the terrace off with a hose, water would come in. And they also had a dog, and they took it out on the terrace to piss. And guess what? It would leak into the warehouse. Ew, gross, not ideal. But as those things weren't really great, I was so happy to be there. Rent was cheap. The location was great. There was so much space, and I got to live with one of my best friends, and she had been doing events and all sorts of stuff in the warehouse. And it was a very exciting and uncertain time for me. I was looking for work. I was reconnecting with friends. I was re-envisioning my life in Spain, because essentially when I went for vacation, and I thought, I'm loving this so much. Like, I loved it before. Like, why don't I just stay and not get back on my return flight? So that's what I did. So it was a big YOLO moment, and it was one of the best decisions I've made. And that space saved me. And when I look back, I just smile and think about how far I've come and how great and fun of an experience that was. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring what's hard or what's working and what's not working. It just means finding the good in that, even when life feels like a hot mess. And, I was like, in that time when I moved to Spain, I was definitely broke, but I just wanted to make it work. And I did. So how can you practice more gratitude every day? So I have a gratitude journal. I write in it in the morning 3 times of what I look forward to in the day, and then at night the 3 things I was most grateful for. That can be a lot. So another thing, it is a commitment, but it really helps change the way you frame stuff, and you start to look for things at the end of the day of why you can be grateful, and it just creates more gratitude in how you show up every day. So another thing you could also do is you could write down small little joys, and just like one thing that made you smile in that excuse me that day, and you put it in a jar. And when life feels heavy, you just pull one out and remember that you're still blooming, you're still fabulous, and there's so much more out there for you. You don't even know what's coming. So always practice gratitude. So that's it for today. Remember, the 5 steps to detachment are awareness, acceptance, detachment, action, and gratitude. So my not so secret recipe of letting go of what's no longer serving you, whether it's a toxic friend, an old dream, or a man who cannot text you back. If any of this resonated with you, made you laugh, cry, delete someone's number, hopefully it prompted you to take some actions, please check out my 5-step guide to detachment. I posted a link in the show notes underneath or in the YouTube channel. So it's free, it's yours, and it just might change everything. And remember, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be honest. I mean, perfection is overrated. Just show up as yourself, and that's where the real magic is. And thank you so much for tuning in. I'll catch you in the next episode. And until then, keep releasing what's heavy and leaning into what's true. Ciao.